Bitcoin crashed. It fell down very close to the levels that we were talking about in our previous video here. We're going to look at that as well as some other charts. First, I'd like to say that we have done it. We have surpassed the 1,000 subscribers mark. We did that just yesterday. This is fantastic. What a milestone for the channel. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed to this channel. Let's continue to make great content. Let's move on. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the money market fund assets. You can see I've been wanting to talk about this all the time for a while, and I keep doing the updates on it because this is important. And the important one, the really important one here is retail. Seeing that retail is still growing. It grew by $20 billion last week. That is a good sign. That is a sign that the rally continues because that means that people have money on the sidelines making just 5%. At some point, they're going to get the FOMO when we're all making 12, 15%, and they're going to want to get in on that train. When is that going to come? I don't know, but we're watching this every single week to see when this retail version, at least the retail for the money market funds, starts to come down. Currently, it's at $2.473 trillion, up from 2.453 last week. We can also see that the institutional money has also been growing there in the money market funds. It was 3,648 billion last week, and this week it is is up to 3,680 billion. So this is something that we're watching for the money to flow in and buy up things when they're a bit low when that eventually happens. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. This got a little scary. It got a little scary. Remember how I mentioned below the 200-day moving average, if we opened and closed beneath the 200-day moving average, that was bad. Okay, and that was bad. It was. But the candle we got yesterday and the candle we're printing today are actually pretty good. So this candle right here on July 5th, that's a hammer candle. That's a hammer at the bottom of the range. So we got the top of the range is way up here. Hammer all the way down here at the bottom of the range. It's a hammer at the bottom of the range. That is super bullish. Now, if today closes green, which it looks like it's going to, it's got another 6 hours and 42 minutes and 50, 49, 48, 47 seconds left to go. That one closes green. We're going to be looking really good. Now, if it closes green above the 200-day moving average, which is currently at 58,629, that is going to be really good. Now, if we get like a crazy rally and it closes above the body of this candle from the 4th of July here, which would be $60,200. So 60,200. If it can close above that today, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it can, that would be crazy bullish. But just the fact that we got a hammer at the bottom and we're green today, even if we go flat for a couple more days, this is a bullish setup down here. I like that. And the huge wick on the bottom is very, very promising. Now, let me turn on my lines here so we can see those. So we got, what did we do? Let me turn off some indicators here. All right, so we came from the top of the channel here on the 1st of July, and on the 5th, we got real close to the bottom. Not quite to the bottom, but I think close enough. Like, remember when I said, like, if it gets down here, I didn't think it would stay down here very long, down in the 50s, in the low 50s. I said I thought it would get bought up very quickly. And I mean, it got bought up less than a day. I mean, do you want to drill down to the hours? Let's drill down to the hours. Yeah, it was down there for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours before it just came up dramatically. So you had 6 hours to get it at this price, which sounds like a long time, but it's really not that long, to get it down here before it was just being driven right back up again. So that's pretty great. And we've seen similar patterns like this before on Bitcoin, like down here. So here's a hammer down here, right? This hammer candle came in on January 23rd. And notice how it's a very similar pattern to what we are looking at right now. Let me draw this out here. Let me start over here, come down, and let me do it to where it is even again, I guess, or close to it. Okay, let's bring this over here. Take a look how it matches up to our current candle formation that we're looking at right now. So we had, yeah, right. We had a couple of days. Let me just work on that a little bit. Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry, I did that a little bit badly. Let me just, there we go, about like this. Let me adjust the size here. This thing is very finicky. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. So take a look, right? We had some flatness, came down, it went flat. On the recent one, it went up, whereas on the other one, it went down first. So we went up, so that's where it diverged, but then it went down a similar amount and then went flat, right? So we went flat, down, and then we're going to come up, probably go flat for a bit, and then rocket up. I'm thinking that this is going to look something like an inverse head and shoulders. So we had, right, we came down, we made our shoulder, we came down, made a head, we're going to come up, make another shoulder, and then we're going to come back up into this space here. And I think that's going to happen pretty quickly, which is exactly, honestly, exactly what happened in this scenario here, right? It came down with these white candles that we're seeing right here, which let me just go back here and you can remember, right? We came down, made a shoulder, did a head, then a shoulder, and then we went all the way back up, and then we just kept going up. I think we're going to see something similar. Now, there was another hammer candle around here too that was doing another similar thing that I saw from before. Oh, here's one right here on March 10th. We came down pretty dramatically, hammer, green candle, and then boom. That also looks pretty familiar, right? Like it did this pretty dramatic sell-off in steps, step, then waterfall, hammer, and then we just launched from there. Does that look familiar to what we're looking at right now? I think it does look pretty familiar, right? We came down, did a little step down, step, waterfall, hammer, and then we're looking for this to quickly come back up to that $63,000 mark and just wipe it out and go to the high and go back to the highs again. That's what we're looking for on Bitcoin. Let's dig into some of the other charts for Bitcoin right now. So this is the rainbow chart for Bitcoin. Notice that the rainbow chart. So one thing, the tops and the bottom. So the bottom never really gets below this blue here, right? And the top has been increasingly decreasing in value over time. So as time moves on, it's been decreasing in terms of how many bands high it can get. So originally, the first run in 2011 went way outside the rainbow. And then inside of 2013, it went kind of outside the rainbow. And then in 17, it just went to the top of the rainbow. And then in 2021, it didn't even quite get, a little more than halfway up the rainbow. This time, I think we're probably looking for, let me scooch in here. This time, I think we're probably going to hang out around this orange space here. Probably $211,000 range is probably going to be the peak this cycle. Maybe it'll get up into the orange. If we get like a super cycle, we might see like $300,000, maybe. But we are currently in this area. Now, notice after the halving, there we go. After a halving, it generally doesn't go back into the blue. So we're getting pretty close to like a bottom for the post-halving cycle area in the cycle, where getting down into this like darker greenish aqua color is generally the bottom of any moves post-halving. So where we currently are is a very good reversal zone, honestly. Or yeah, around that 62,000. Yeah, so I don't really see us getting much lower than that. I think the lowest we could potentially get would be like, yeah, high 30s, high 40s. Yeah, I don't see us getting any lower than like high 40s, to be honest. If we went any lower than we currently did right now, I think this might be the dip before the rip sort of scenario right now for Bitcoin. Let's also take a look at the stock to flow. This is another chart that I like to look at. So it starts off as a blue, right? Like a blue color in the bear, and it comes up and gets increasingly darker until it turns red. And then when it turns yellow, you're usually seeing a peak around the time it's like turning yellow. So as long as this line maintains the red and doesn't turn yellow, we're still looking pretty good for now. Of course, I will be watching the pi cycle top in order to kind of price out where I think it's going to hit. I do think that we have seen probably the low this cycle. It's very likely. Now, of course, if we come back and take out that previous low from yesterday, then of course we can go all the way down into the 40s. But given how much buying pressure there was down there, I would not be surprised if someone like Michael Saylor came through and just threw another couple $1 billion at Bitcoin because it was down there. I mean, I wouldn't, or right now it's under $60,000. Like that's a deal for a lot of these big institutional buyers. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were picking it up hand over fist right now, and that's what drove it up so dramatically that day. All right. Also, the fear and greed index for Bitcoin, we're hanging down in fear. We're almost in extreme fear. We are just 2 points away from being under that extreme fear line. I bet you we were there a little bit yesterday. So generally in areas of extreme fear, fear to extreme fear, or generally, and of course this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever, but they're generally areas where it is a decent idea to pick some up. And in the green, above 75, in extreme euphoria, extreme greed, that's usually where you want to offload some of your assets in that situation. So, anyways, that's what's going on with Bitcoin. So it's not time to be afraid. It's actually probably time to get pretty bullish, especially seeing how this candle is forming today. I think it's time to start getting bullish on that. I think this is what we needed. We needed that release of pressure after going up so high so fast with the ETFs, and now we have taken some of that pressure off. We've come back to the bottom of the range, and now it's time to rise. And we'll see. We'll see. I don't. That's my analysis. That's what I think. I think we're probably going to end up seeing something of an inverse head and shoulders on here, taking us back up to the highs. But of course, we do need to keep an eye out for the fact that we have resistance at 60,000. We have resistance at 61,890. Oh, sorry. We also have the 200-day at the 58,629. So we got resistance 58,629. We've got resistance again at 60,000, then again at 61.89, then again at 65,852, then again at $70,000. So there is a battle on the way up. But I think that the liquidity built from 72 down to 53, I think that might be sufficient, and I think we will likely see this RSI divergence that I pointed out in the chart down here. This RSI divergence here, where the RSI is much higher right now than it was at this low back here on June 24th, creating a divergence where RSI was rising while price was falling. I think we might see that play out here. And if that plays out, I think it's going to be pretty dramatic. Now, and if my RSI chart down here looks different from yours, that's because I like to shorten mine to a length of 7. It just shows the moves in a much more dramatic fashion. I also set the oversold and overbought areas to overbought as 80 and oversold as 20. So just keep that in mind when you look at my chart versus yours. You might say, "Hey, my RSI looks different." That's because I mess with mine a little bit to give me a different look to my RSI, make it a little more exaggerated so I can see it a little better. Anyways, let's move on to Ethereum as well. So Ethereum is also getting pretty interesting right now. We did go below the 200-day moving average. I know I said we probably wouldn't, and we did, and that's fine. We went down to $2,800. We went almost to the penny. Yeah, we went to the penny to this low back here on May 1st for Ethereum. Now, I think once the ETFs for Ethereum are trading, I think that we aren't going to see this thing come back down below $3,000. I think we saw that. So we got the buy the rumor on May 20th, sell the continuation of the rumor, I guess, because it hasn't happened yet. It's going to be like a sell the news, buy the fact sort of scenario now. So we went up, we sold off, and then once the ETFs are trading, we've had that sell off already. So I think once the ETFs are trading, I think it's basically just a moonshot from there on with Ethereum. So we're watching Ethereum, we're watching anything related to Ethereum. So that means Bit Digital as well, since they're the largest holder of Ethereum of a publicly traded company. So we're watching that right now for its movement and how the ETF is going to impact their HODL bag there as well. Let's take a look. One last thing I wanted to do was look at Solana. So I've talked about it before. Look where it came down to. About that 122 range. It actually dipped down to like 121 something. Let me zoom way in, I guess. It came all the way down to $121, $121. It came down to, and then reversed pretty hard. Now this right now that it's printing is a Morningstar type of pattern right here. These 3 candles right there, that's a Morningstar. And if we can close above $140, this is very much going to go up to the 50-day moving average before it hits any resistance, which is up at $154.27. If it doesn't stop there, we are heading very quickly into the high 100s on Solana. So watch out for Solana. This thing's going to move fast when it moves. I'm a little bit sad I wasn't able to pick any up down in the 120s. I probably should have been on that a little bit more. I was having some issues with my payment methods for my crypto wallets the last couple of days, so I didn't miss out on that. But I have been stacking ETH for a little while. I've got plenty of, not ETH, sorry, Solana. I've got plenty of Solana right now. I would like more, but I've got plenty at this time. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for getting the channel to 1,000 subscribers. I can't express how much I appreciate that. We're going to continue to try to make the best content that we can here. And with that said, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and have a profitable day.